Hi everyone. So to continue my topic of my previous video, and some of these topics in all my videos might have some repeating themes, but the reason why they have the repeating themes is because people have to understand first the deeper elements of what I'm trying to explain here, in order that, and if I repeat it a couple of times, that's when people start recognizing what is the pattern and theme of what I am meaning to express in these videos. So what I expressed in my Hindi videos might already be repeating in some of these videos, but hopefully I'm also presenting some additional info with each new video that I am creating. So part of it is repeating information, part of it is current information based on some news article or YouTube video that I am showing as an evidence to express what I understand already, but the videos are helping those people understand the issue better who have never understood or experienced what I am talking about, right? And then part of it is, in order to initiate the next steps every one of us has to take in the future and in the present, given what is going on earth currently. That's why also I'm creating the videos, but I can't go to the present and future steps we have to take before people start acknowledging or accepting that yes, this is true, that this thing is indeed leading to our health harm. If I have 10 family members who are all showing some physical distress of different kinds of physical health distress related to the same toxin in our home environment, like let's say there's mold in our bathroom, and that mold, and some mold is there in our food, some mold is there in the fungus, some chemicals are there in the washing detergent, some chemical pollutants are there in my home water supply, some chemical is there in my drinking water supply. Now I have identified 5-6 different sources that are causing health harm in the family life of a particular home. And after identifying 5-6 sources, let's assume person A in the household is getting two symptoms from two of these major things that they use regularly. Person B is getting symptoms from all 5-6 chemicals and environmental factors that are impacting their health. So will person A and B get the same symptom? No. If one is getting impacted by two chemicals, another person is getting impacted by two chemicals and two microbes, they will have two different kind of symptoms. And if there is a person D who is also getting impacted by the same two chemicals as person A, but if person D is a 150 pound man and the person A is a 100-pound woman, will they both again show different symptoms, even if both of them, let's say both of them eat same amount of food and the chemical is something present in their water supply, and there is another chemical that is additionally present not simply in their drinking water, which is getting filtered and everything. So the drinking water supply has a little less chemicals in it, but their bathing water and washing water has more chemicals, because we usually don't have filtration systems in our bathing water supply or in our washing machines, right? So when I'm washing my clothes in a washing machine or hand washing my clothes and taking a shower, and there is, let's say, 2-3 chemicals in my local water supply, all those three chemicals are impacting the health of both the 150-pound man of the household, 100-pound women in the household. But how it will impact the same, because both of them are getting the same, and they, let's say both of them take the same 20 minutes of shower time only. If both of them take the same shower time, both of them are getting exposed to the same amount of water, at that time also the 150-pound person's impact of for 20 minutes, how much ever water their body is absorbing, because their body has a wider area, their absorption compared to their overall body weight will be slightly less ratio, proportionality wise, right, than a person who is 100-pound person who's much less body area than the taller and fatter person of the family. But the thinner person of the family will be absorbing more of the chemicals if they take the same 20 minutes time. Now if that thinner person realizes that this water is causing irritation to my skin, and then earlier they used to take a 20-minute shower, but now they have reduced their shower time to a little less number of hours or minutes, then obviously their symptoms will be slightly less. Same way, there is someone who is the woman sometimes in the family takes luxurious baths. Now firstly, if both of them take the 20-minute shower and both of them are getting exposed to just the same chemicals from the water, and that's all the problem zone, it is easy to identify the difference between their health statuses, and if it is only one chemical or two chemicals impacting their health. But now let's add more things. What are the more things? Usually more things are there that confuses the data for all these things that I'm talking about. So if the wife is now taking a shower but she doesn't take 20 minutes shower, she uses a beauty ritual. So because her beauty ritual may have involved using a face pack, using a face mask, hair mask, using a expensive shampoo. After shampooing also she uses some chemicals also, so she washes her face twice a day, 3 times a day because of the makeup she uses. So all of these things will that also increase her exposure to the water supply of her area home. So even though she and her husband both might be taking 20-minute shower and using same liters of water while showering or taking a bath, later on when she's using more makeup and wiping her makeup using water, wiping her makeup using some other chemicals, the makeup itself is absorbing some chemicals. All of these again will add to her health harm, because each element of chemical that is harmful to our health, be it present in the water, be it present in the chemicals we are using, be it present in the number of times we are washing our hands, number of times we are breathing those chemicals, each degree of each slight difference in chemical exposures, large difference in chemical exposures, all of it is actually adding to our health harm in any person's body. So two people living in the same house also will be showing two different kind of symptoms, or they might have some overlapping 2-3 symptoms, but the area where their organ damage or health issue might manifest might be in different areas. Now let's say I'm using a lot of like shampoo products and a lot of like face care products, makeup products, underarm perfumes and sprays. Where as a woman will my health issues show up, which is also showing up technically in a woman's body? Where does it show up? For women, we might get cancer of lymph node related issues, blood related issues, circulatory system related issues, breast cancer, all these upper body cancer happens because most women use a lot of chemicals to keep our upper part of our body until our chest or breast in good health. Either we are keeping it in good health, or we want to we want to look beautiful, we want to seem attractive, so we are doing things to our body in this upper part of our body where all these chemicals are accumulating. This is one area where women's health, you will see, will show some health problems. Same way, whereas the other area, sometimes when women are also very highly sexually active, now in those women again the health problems will show up in their sexual organs also. So we will have reproductive health related issues, especially if there are two women, one woman lives in India and is a very poor woman, another woman also lives in is a poor woman but she lives in US, and let's say in the US market, because certain body hygiene products are much more prevalent in usage, a same socioeconomically low status income women in India may not be using a lot of feminine hygiene products, whereas a woman in US who is also of the same socioeconomic status, if you compare the socioeconomic status of each other in terms of the country's percentile of socioeconomic status, but the other one, if she still has some, because she's living in a developed country, if she still gets some access to women's health hygiene products, and now those products have some chemicals in it, she might end up showing some worse health outcomes. Or if both of them are living in areas where the woman in India, she doesn't use a lot of chemicals, but still she's showing higher reproductive health problems. Why? It could be because the area, because India is a densely populated country. If I don't compare two people from same densely populated areas, then there also our data will get disturbed or changed, or understanding of the data can get confusing if you do not understand what are you comparing, why are you comparing it, and while comparing it, what are the other factors which will be impacting your data in a particular way. So even if a woman doesn't use, like let's say people start doing want to debunk the myth that makeup is causing some health issue, and or a women's hygiene product is causing a health issue. Now if you do a chemical analysis where in India someone is not using that chemical product, the chemical infused women's health product, but in US someone is indeed using that chemical infused women's health product, and they showed in their results that and let's say it's a women's pad or a tampon, and they want to do some more deeper analysis about the health harm of tampons. So let's say they are studying tampon usage, and in India they don't use tampons. In US they use tampons, like very less people use tampons in India, but more people use tampons in US. And let's say there is same socioeconomic status, everything they have matched well, and even weight wise maybe they have matched well. But let's say you are studying somewhere where tampon is being used by that woman, and they are showing that tampons do not cause any health harm, because the Indian women are showing, those who don't use tampons, they are showing more health harm. There now you have to understand, right? Is it the tampon that is not causing the any significant difference in health harm? Is that what the data is actually showing? Or the health harm shown by tampons, let's say tampons are showing 10% health harm, and the women who don't use tampon, they have health harm of 40% level. Compare it to the 40%, the 10% is hardly anything, or only 2% are getting some health harm, that's hardly anything. But what if other factors were there that is contributing to in a US person getting only 2% health harm with tampon use, and those who don't use tampon in another country, they have some 40% incidences of some different reproductive health issues? Why is that happening? Is it because you have to also at that time understand why that is happening? Because it is also possible that in those women who are not using tampons, if they are using period pads, if their period pads are much more toxic than a tampon, that could escalate their health incidences. If they live in a country where their water pollution is really high, and you're washing yourself with water every time you have periods, sometimes we have to wash ourselves with water. Or someone is using a menstrual cup, let's say they were doing analysis of tampon versus menstrual cup. Again, if the menstrual cup needed to be washed regularly in water, again it needs to be washed in boiled water. But if my boiled water itself is bad quality, or the menstrual cup given to someone in India is of poor quality versus the menstrual cup given to someone in US, that will also show difference in data. Or the tampon given in US, because US regulations are better, even if you were doing tampon to tampon study or tampon to menstrual cup study, if country specific factors were imbalanced, even if I'm getting access, like which has happened to me, I got access to a particular menstrual cup which shows that it is manufactured according to US conditions, it has got US licensing and everything. But because it's a product sold in India, and it may also be manufactured also possibly by the same facility which sends products to US and sells products in India, but even though that facility has got licensing for selling products to US and India, but because India's regulatory systems are less strict, let's say the company produced 100 menstrual cups, and out of that 100 menstrual cups, 90 were according to the specifications of US government. And because 90 were according to specifications of US government, they sold those 90 and exported those 90 to US. But the rest 10, which wasn't according to US government specifications, because Indians laws are poorer, those 10, if are getting sold in India, and how it is getting sold. That same product with US license or US based patenting rights and everything, whatever was going on with that manufacturer, which made it seem like a very nice manufacturer. It had good ratings also online, but when I bought that product, it had grooves in it, kind of grooves, which is a manufacturing defect. Now that manufacturing defect, US will not accept it. They want completely smooth menstrual cup which will not cause any health issue. But if that manufacturing defect is rejected by US, or export quality is rejected, but it still is there in the company, instead of the company deciding to fix their flaws which is leading to these production of manufacturing defective products, if they don't fix it and instead decide I'll just sell it at a cheaper rate in India, that is what they have done, and they've sold it. And out of that also, I didn't return the product because I was sick. I didn't even use the product when I realized my water pollution levels were high. So 3-4 different factors caused me to stop using, not even start using that product. But what if there is some unaware Indian who doesn't know all these manufacturing flaws, related issues, is not self-aware about a menstrual cup, is an uneducated person who's been given a menstrual cup for free, and you've been given that menstrual cup for free for a like this product testing or comparison related study. At a time, if and most of these studies, as you know, is usually done in poorer population, because no one wants to be experimented on, but poorer people can sometimes enroll in studies with experiments, because those poorer people do not have access to money. So sometimes they get some money, sometimes they get some food, sometimes they get some advantage, because of which they are willing to participate in a study. So when they are participating in a study because of some financial or food advantages, at that time they are not, if they are uneducated, or if they don't even understand, or whoever is doing the study is less educated, less aware about the repercussions of the products you're giving to someone. At a time, if you gave a packaged product to them assuming it will be same export quality product, but it is not an export quality product. So when they use the menstrual cup with all these manufacturing flaws, is it going to cause them reproductive health issues? Will they, if it has all these grooves in it, which is sharp grooves of plastic or silicone or whatever that product is made from, those sharp grooves are there in that product, and you've inserted it into your vagina, are you going to have some cuts and bruises as a result of a very sharp object being used? And now that poor person, being a poor person, sometimes poor persons don't protest also when they are being harmed. So initially, and they also, if they think, oh, I'm in a medical study, many poor persons also assume whatever the doctor is giving me, that is going to be health beneficial. But is it truly a health beneficial product if it has grooves in it which is going to cause cuts in your body? And then after having used it, maybe because you didn't protest, because you are a poor person, maybe because you thought this is how the product is supposed to be, because people do all these kind of assumptions. Even if some, let's say there were 10 people or 100 people enrolled in a study in a particular state, out of those 100 people, 50 people assume this is how the product is supposed to be. So they didn't complain at all, or they are not the complaining kind, so they kept quiet. Or they were sick and some other things happened, they got so sick with the bleeding from the cuts they had, they were too busy with getting treatment to even observe or realize that the product is the one that is causing their increased bleeding. So whatever has happened, the 50 people's complaints didn't get even registered. And then the next 50, some of them did complain and did realize that it is the product that is giving them the issue, but the person who's recording their data, now if they are biased that we are giving them top quality US products, what are they talking about? It's not going to harm them. They're just talking rubbish. It can't be possible. If they live in denial that this is not possible, I've given them top quality US grading, US rated, US manufacturing standards based company's product. Yes, you've given them US company's product, but if they gave you some default product just thinking that this is only going for testing, so they didn't mindfully do their work, or they were some people who were just giving you free products. But because, why are they giving you free products, which is a problem in India? Many free products in India have a lot of defects in them. This is what I have realized. They have manufacturing defects, they have manufacturing problems that they are just trying to transfer to the consumer instead of addressing the problem at the right level. So all of these can happen, and but if the testing person is in denial or the recording person is in denial, they may not record the patient's complaint. And again, the complaint also, let's say 30 people complained about it, but 10 people only complained like, I don't know, I think it was hurting me. But when they say I think it was hurting me, or I don't know, or let's say all those of the 30 people, one had like really 1 centimeter length of grooves which were pointy and dark, like this. Can you see this comb has broken, and can you see these grooves? This is how I found a tampon with something like this, very groovy surface in the body of the tampon, and when it will insert in my body, this area will be hurting my skin. Now someone could have so many grooves in it, like almost one whole inch or one whole centimeter of manufacturing defect. Another person could have only smaller grooves and only like little bit, like 1 millimeter space was groovy. So the one who has 1 millimeter space groovy, they may not like complain very insistently that this product was problem for them. But one who has whole 1 inch of surface of the tampon that is groovy, or the entire tampon is like that, not tampon, but yeah, let's say it's a tampon or a menstrual cup, whatever you're using, and for a comparative analysis, at that time, whatever product you were given, if someone has that longer area which is manufacturing defect oriented, that person will complain a lot. So out of the 30 also, if 10 or 20 didn't have that many grooves, they might have complained very softly. Firstly, when women complain, if women complain softly, sometimes their complaint don't get registered. And I will post a video on women complaining related video to make you understand this deeply in a next video, because this is again interconnected topic. But if you want to understand their social context a little deeply, it's a social health context which also leads to medical gaslighting and other problems. So I will provide a example which is not at all related to healthcare, but it is a behavioral pattern that women face. So when women complain, sometimes their complaints don't get registered, either because they are softly complaining. There are 3 ways where women's problems don't get registered. One is if the person who is hearing the problem denies their problem, then their problem doesn't get registered. Second is when a woman is speaking softly, they think that, oh, it must not be a problem, and that's why they don't register it. And the third thing is, if a woman starts shouting now because they are experiencing extreme pain, extreme distress, shouting, crying, getting emotional, and the person they are interacting with is not a emotionally empathetic person, or instead a antisocial personality type person, or instead someone whose empathy is very low level, they come from an abusive family where they blame their mothers or people in their family to have some women to have some problem. Like for them, if a woman starts crying or shouting, she's doing some drama. If they have all these mistaken perceptions about a woman, what they will see is, they will not see the distress of the women, they will get angry about the distress of the women. And if the woman was hyper critical about their problems, they will again not register their problem or not allow for their problem to surface, because they will start thinking, and they might have this perception that I have bought a good quality product, so she is the one who is wrong. So they will live in denial and not acknowledge the problem at all. In a way, it should have been recorded or acknowledged, but they wouldn't acknowledge it because of whatever biases that are going through in their mental space, in their understanding of a woman's health issue. So that's also a place where women's problem will not be recorded. And again, when a woman sometimes, and another way it can get misrecorded is, let's say the pain scale was 8 or 10, but again, if they were very dramatic, this man will think this is a dramatic woman, I will not give a 8 scale, I'll give only 7. Even if they verbally said it was a 8 scale, they may decide I'll give them a 5 or 4 scale. They are just talking rubbish. And why they might be doing that, sometimes people start manipulating the data. Why they want to manipulate the data? Because let's say 30 people complained, but in the 30 people's complaint, and they took the complaint of everyone. But let's say of the 30 people who has complained, they've taken the complaint also of everyone, but 25 had only registered a pain scale of 4 or 3 or 5. So because 25 registered a scale of 4 to 3 or 5, and 5 are expressively saying that no, it's a scale of 8 for them, instead of allowing for the data to show that anomaly, that 5 of them have shown a pain scale of 8, they want to skewer the data, thinking that no, these people are hyper dramatic or over dramatic, and they for some reason or the other, instead of saying 8, they decide I will show 6. That way my data is not too off from each other. But this off data is only what is needed, because from that off data only you will understand that when the groove is only this much area groove, where like can you see this comb area is completely smooth. So when a tampon is given, it is supposed to have a completely, and visibly it looks actually very smooth. But if I run my hand also against this comb also, now this comb also has some manufacturing defect. So when I'm running my hand through the surface of this comb, this area does have a very nanometer level of groove, so which is not visible by my eye, but these grooves are visible by our eyes, and these are all millimeter level grooves, right? So this one is very easily visible. So even when I'm looking at a tampon, let's say physically a human is detecting now whether a tampon really has some problems. At that time also, the 30 people who of the 30, the 25 who complained at a minor scale, the one who has complained at a minor scale may have a groove or some surface defect that is not visible by the eye, but if you touch the tampon you will feel it, if you wear the tampon you will feel it. Whereas for the other people it is very obviously visible, but again if it is only just this much area that is groovy, again their pain level might be 3. But for someone where the whole entire menstrual cup or the tampon has some grooves and sharp edges, that will be more health harming. And again, the tampon that is supplied to US, if it is exactly not the same as the tampon that is supplied to India, will you have a now difference in your data based on the tampon supplied there and tampon supplied here? And plus, now it's not simply about the tampon. If it is a tampon versus menstrual cup study, again, if the tampon supplied there was better quality, no grooves, if you touch the surface also nothing is hurting you, everything is very smooth, and it is high quality, not scented, not any kind of health distressing things are there in it, and then you conclude that tampons are better than menstrual cups or something like that, again your conclusion could be wrong depending on what factors were present in your study. So this is how studies get skewed, this is how data can get confusing, and this is how also when women are going also to a doctor or a child is complaining to a parent, this is how the child's complaint also gets ignored. So in the case of the baby who possibly got treatment, the toddler, 3-year-old toddler was getting some treatment, otherwise she could not have sung that well. So while she was getting some treatment, it could have been a formal treatment by a doctor, it could have been a home remedy that her family was practicing. Whatever care she was getting some supportive care for her breathing problems. But if her deeper elements related to her breathing problems, which could have been cardiovascular, circulatory system, or other organ damage related problems as well, all the problems from sources that I was mentioning in my previous video, if none of those are slowly removed from her daily life, she will never have full recovery. Now let's say there is another toddler in the same family or in the same city who is known to this family, and they realize they've seen a video like mine or know something better about healthcare, and they were mindful about their child, and they realize that their child is, every time they are wearing a scent, their child starts wheezing. If they have observed it mindfully that my scent is causing my child to wheeze, and they decided to remove the scent from their usage, then they have done one step of preventative care that would add to the child's distress, but now that child's distress is not there because of the scent. So if along with medication you do this preventative care, will the child have a better health outcome now that one of the toxins causing their wheezing, causing their breathing distress, causing their other health symptoms is out of the picture? Like that, if the mom realizes it's the scented product, dad realizes it is the household chemicals that is causing the distress in the baby, grandma realizes it's the mold in the home that is causing the distress, grandfather realizes it's the clothing detergent that is getting absorbed by the child from their clothes, from their bed sheets and linens. Like that, if 5 people in the family has observed 5 different things are impacting the child, and actually speaking they were also impacting not just the child but each of them as well. Like while the child is getting breathing distress plus other symptoms that are not yet obvious from the child's 1 second video, but if you had observed that child for a few years or few months, you may observe from the child also what are these other things that were impacting that child's health. But say a detergent was causing skin irritation both to the child. I'm not seeing the skin area of the child, their hands are, their face is most probably not showing any symptom currently. But what if some skin irritation symptom was there in their hand which is not present, we are not seeing in the video, but it's in the area of the body which is not there in this video, but they have some rashes or small red wheals developing on their skin, and the same kind of rashes or more deeper eczema has developed in the grandparents' hands also. So that's why the grandparent is observing it's causing, the detergent is causing irritation to me, and it is also called, they're seeing that the child when they wear washed clothes sometimes they're scratching their skin and all that, and they have observed this is what is happening to the child also. So after observing, again if you remove that detergent, now you decide that this is causing it, you discuss it with the parents and all the caretakers realize yes this is a health concern. Once you admit this is a health concern, then only you can take the next step to prevent that health concern from becoming a health harm or a deeper health harm. So when all of them admit that okay, it's a detergent that we are using that's causing this for the child, now they might decide to think, earlier they were likely maybe washing everyone's clothes in a normal detergent that is available in the market for everyone to use. But now that the child has some sensitive skin, the parent also has some sensitive skin, grandparent, the family decides, considering both the grandparents' health issue and the baby's health issue, that we will use a softer, less harmful chemical for washing the detergent. So let's say they switch it. And after switching it, because that detergent was indeed less health harming, that detergent that they have switched to naturally will again aid the recovery of a child's health issues, or will prevent a child who is, maybe if they are toxed out from 5 chemicals, now one less chemical is there that is harming their health. Or if there were, and sometimes I'm just giving 5 is actually a very low number currently in our modern lives, there are at least like usually 20 to 30 elements of chemicals or microbes or particulate matter or irritating matter that could be impacting our health, depending on where we are living, which city we live, which country we live, what kind of lifestyle choices we execute in our daily life. So 5 is actually a very low number. For many kids it's more than 5, and that is when only you go into the organ damage level and into a serious health distress level, which eventually can result in hospitalization, severe hospitalization, less understanding about why the child is getting hospitalized, and also sometimes eventually the death of the child. That's why this deeper diving, deeper understanding, deeper recognizing of where the problem zone actually is required both by people who are personally taking care of someone, as well as someone who is working in healthcare research, as well as someone who is doing healthcare delivery, as well as someone who is creating a product for healthcare, home care, daily lifestyle use product. Because every element of work that we do in our life actually is directly or indirectly involved in impacting all of our health, collectively, globally, individually, at a familial level, at a social level, at a healthcare level, at even a daily operational level of your work. And the operations related thing I spoke about in other videos, but I'll again speak about operations also in a different manner in a different video. But main thing is how we operate in our daily life, how you operate. Now this mindfulness, if a grandparent or a parent or a caretaker like a nanny is observing and carefully doing it, it is also important first you observe it and do it for the child at a personal level. But slowly you have to also have good dynamics within your family, within the people caretaking the child, that each of the person caretaking the child now does that mindfulness activity at a same level that will benefit the child, which doesn't happen when you are in a bad marriage, which doesn't happen if you have bad equation with your parents, which doesn't happen if your parents have a mental or social illness, which will not transpire if your spouse has a mental or social illness, which will be a problem if the caretaker you're hiring for your child also has some mental or social or developmental illness, where they're not developmentally adapting to what is necessary in the next phase of what needs to be done. Like for me, when there was some water pollution related problems, it took me nearly 2 years to train my maid to practice that she was not ready to acknowledge was a problem zone in impacting my health. And after that, even though I have now trained her to do some practices, whether she's doing it or not, I can't always monitor. When I'm sick, I can't monitor it. When I'm not living in the, and my maid meaning my cook, which is my dad's cook actually. In my dad's home there is a cook. In my home I have no cook. I do everything related to my self-care by myself. I have lived in US for 13 years without a cook, so I don't actually need a cook in India, but I do need good clean food in India. So I sometimes, instead of getting food from a cook, I'm getting food from outside. And at least when I'm buying food from outside, I have also a place where to put a review about that food. If the food is toxic in some way, sometimes I put reviews about it. When I put the reviews, now if the hotel or the chain that is supplying the food is mindful about it, in the customer comments they will find all the reasons why their food is getting bad rating in the customer comments. And they have to also realize there could be batch to batch variability. If on day one, if there is a hotel which gets 3.5 out of 5 rating, and some days some customers are saying they have wonderful food, 5 rating food, some days their food is getting 3 rating, do they have to, and some days they're getting 4 rating, do they have to understand why that 3 rating, 4 rating, 5 rating is happening? If you live in denial that just because I get 5 rating means I'm actually a very great good place, and they don't do the deep diving, and maybe they're getting a lot of business, that's why they're not doing the deep diving. But if they truly want to do a good work of the food delivery industry that they are doing, they have to understand that the 5 rating could be coming from the days when, let's say, your water supply is excellent, and today the water supply is excellent, the cook who is cooking the food is very mindful cook and very dedicated cook, so they are giving very good quality tasty food, they've bought the right food, they bought the right ingredients for cooking, they use a lot of they truly enjoy cooking, so everything adds to the experience and making the food really 5-star rated food. But on another day, when you have someone who is a very mindless cook, who hurriedly cooks, who doesn't clean the food well, so there is pesticide in the food, or who doesn't understand that the water has to be clean while cooking, so they just take the tap water, whereas there is another day where the cook is taking water from the filtration device. So will there be a variability between the quality of food, the one who is taking the tap water which might be contaminated with chemicals versus another cook who is taking the filtration device water? There will be a difference. If the day where one cook, both of them cook really well, let's say you have 2 cooks who cook really well and they're mindful also at the same level, but if there is a day where on the day where cook A is cooking and they both get 4 ratings some days and they both get 3 ratings some days, why? It is possible the day they are getting the 4 rating is the day when they are cooking with fresh ingredients. Like today is the day their market person comes and gives them food and they are using all fresh food, so they are using fresh flour, fresh rice, fresh clean vegetables, fruits, everything is fresh, and that's why they're getting that 4 rating. But because it's a hotel service, sometimes they keep some food open in containers, or after opening the package, the rice is now stocked in a container, the wheat is now stocked in another container, the vegetables have been cut and put in the freezer. But let's say after putting it in the freezer, next day when or 2-3 days later when they want to use those vegetables, like sometimes pastes are put in the freezers. Now if in the freezer something was going wrong and the food was spoiling in the freezer, that could add to the bad taste the next day. If you have put it in a container but you didn't mindfully close the container, and then you had sprayed some pesticides in your locality, or either the municipality sprayed it and it came from the windows inside your kitchen, or in the kitchen only you was doing some minor spraying, but because the bottles were not completely, jars were not completely closed, now that pesticide has gone into your flour, has gone into your rice, has gone into your spices, or whatever place you have packaged and kept your things. Somehow the lids were open and cross contamination happened. Or you sprayed in an area where you store actually all your boxes and containers for delivery. So some of the spray went into your box, or some of the spray went into your paper napkins, some of the spray went into your spoons, some of the spray went into any chopped vegetables that you were cutting and you had left in a table counter, and while you had gone to the restroom someone else and came and sprayed it, or your window was open at that time and some spray has entered your kitchen, and all the chopped vegetables that were there on the table, it has contaminated that, and you don't know it because you had gone to the restroom. So by the time you came back, you don't know that cross contamination has happened. So all these things, even if you are the best mindful cook, at a time due to accidental exposure, due to exposure that was not your exposure but some outside circumstance causing an exposure, again all these elements of pesticides in your food will add to the food taste, or some chemical contaminations in the boxes, or sometimes for some facilities where let's say they are doing more business, less business of delivery, more business of just restaurant service. When the delivery happens, let's say the delivery is happening once in a few months or once a week, so they have a lot of accumulated boxes which have fungus in them. They don't know that these boxes have fungus, or it was paper boxes, so the original plant source only had some fungus which developed more in the conditions of the kitchen in which the boxes were stored. So as soon as you're delivering food in those fungus laced boxes, or the paper napkin and things like that have fungus in them, the paper plates you are using, the paper spoon, plastic not the plastic spoons, but yeah, the plastic spoons could have been stored in some area where soaps were stored. So the soaps or pesticides were sprayed, so the spoons may have pesticide particulate matter on them. So whatever, like if any degree of less mindfulness based work has happened in that area, or less understanding of what is true safety features while doing some work happens, be it and I'm talking about a hotel industry, but this happens in the hospitality industry, this happens in our daily home life, this can happen in your office canteen food, this can happen with the street vendor you buy food from, this can happen even in a hospital based settings food preparation, because people are so much unaware about all the places where health harm escalates or health harm adds whenever we are doing something, and whenever there are things that are being done which we aren't aware can be health harming. So as a result, if you're not aware of the health harm, doesn't mean that the health harm stops happening. It just means that the indicators of the health harm are present in your life, in the food that you're consuming, in the ratings you're giving someone, in the illness you are experiencing when you consume something. Like let's say that child, 3-year-old toddler from that first video was drinking something, and there was something chemically wrong with that drink she's drinking, which is harmful, which was the last drop of health harming thing she consumed. But at the same time, the mother also was possibly sharing the same drink as her, or they both bought the same drink and both of them are having the same strawberry milkshake. The mother has her own glass. Let's say both of them consumed the same thing and both of them had the same chemical problem in that. But for the mother, maybe while she's consuming it, she just coughed a little and she just sneezed a little, or she felt a little irritation in her stomach or esophagus when she consumed it. Whereas for the child, that same thing, if because she's a small baby, she's 1/100th or 1/10th lower in weight than her mom, like some degree much lower in size than her mom. Her developmental system is also not at the same level as a whole adults. So all of these, her enzyme levels and other body's response levels are also not going to be the same level as the mom's. So that's why even if they both drank the same thing that was going to cause health harm for the mother, and let's say the mother's body is in a much fitter state, then will the mother show significantly large responsibles for a toxic thing? No. But the baby will show it, and the baby is showing it with the heaving she is doing. But that heaving, when she's doing it, mother having observed it, having taken her to the doctor, having given her all the medicines that the doctor said she needs to take, still doesn't understand that it is also not simply the medicine which will stop the child's heaving. The child's heaving will stop actually not simply when the medicine is given, but also when all the things that are adding to the heaving problem, adding to the breathing problem, adding to the child's health distress, all of them are actually stopped or changed or adapted to something that is more health supportive. So now if that child really did die, and if in that area there is water pollution related problem going on in all the ice cubes that you are buying for personal use, or all the water that is used in that local area, so everyone will be sick actually from that water. Just that different people will have different responses, and depending on their own personal health status. So in a particular city, if the water pollution problem is happening at a major level, each of them will show the difference of water pollution related problems in different way, which is what the Erin Brockovich movie was. If you realize, in the Erin Brockovich movie, every person who was filing a case against the company, and there it was a company that was doing something that was contaminating their water, that led to multiple major health harms for multiple people in that area. But now the thing is, companies like that in certain countries, very developed countries, are not existing also in their locality anymore. So you will not have a Erin Brockovich like situation where a mass scale chemical producer or chemical pollutant producer might be there in your locality. But still you could have a mass scale water pollution even if there is no major chemical company adding to your local water's chemical pollution. At that time, if there's no major company in your locality, where is the water pollution then coming from? It is coming from the people's choices of chemical usages in our daily life, which is actually more health harming than a chemical factory's health harm. Because at least with the chemical factory's health harm, you can visibly see when a company is like emitting a lot of smoke or a lot of colored chemicals in the water. That is a very physical evidence of health harm, so easily you are detecting it. But some water pollutants are such that they are not visibly colorful, they are not visibly very easy to detect. So that's why people can assume that you have pure water when you may not have pure water in your home, which is another level of awareness people have to have in their life. Because water pollution is a problem, air pollution, and there are also all these pesticides when we spray in our air, or fungicides we are spraying in our food, which downstream is causing fungal contamination in your food. This, because it's happening a little delayed, people don't realize the impact of the fungus developing in their paper plates, in their wooden spoons, or in their paper related napkins, or in their food itself that is of organic origin, but which was not organically raised and was raised instead in conditions where, while the fungus was not developing in the plant because of fungicide spray, when the fruit has been picked up or a vegetable has been picked up and is lying in your refrigerator, at that time the fungus is developing. Have you also observed? This is what I have observed, like when I was younger, and in actually my grandparents' homes, My grandparents who lived in a village life, they didn't even have a refrigerator when I was growing up. Much later they bought a refrigerator. So for at least 5-10 years of their life there was no refrigerator in their homes, but there was no fungus growing also in their fruits and vegetables. Firstly, they would go and buy fresh vegetables every day or every other day from the market. They would use it up and no storage was happening. And because it was all fresh fruits and vegetables, and immediately they are consuming it, there is no accumulation anywhere, there's no fungus growing on, there's no mold growing on. But in the homes where now refrigerator is there and you are storing your food in the refrigerator, people falsely sometimes assume that when I have stored my food in the refrigerator that it is going to stay healthy longer, but it is actually sometimes not healthy when left in the fridge for longer than a few days. And at that time, any microbe or bacteria that is growing in that fruit will also be growing in your fridge. So cleaning your fridge is also an important activity people need to do, but people don't realize that is part of the activity they have to do to maintain right health in their home, in their hospitality industry, in their any element of life where food is going to be served, which is what is also does show up in airplane food. In airplanes, the worst kind of cleansing protocols are used, the quick kind of cleansing protocols are used. As a result, airplane industries have a lot of microbial and especially fungal contamination in their foods. I always get 90, out of the let's say I've traveled 30 times, out of the 30 times only 3 or 4 times I didn't get sick with airplane food. Otherwise, whatever is served inside the airplane, because of water pollution, because of the machine in which you are cooking the food and the base ingredient that you are cooking, heating there, what do airplanes usually serve? They will serve you fruits, they will serve you very quick to serve and quick to heat foods, right? Or foods that don't even need to be heated. So they will serve you fruits, they will serve you desserts, they will serve you bread, they will serve you some meals in a long journey flight where the food needs to be heated. But in that long journey flight, if the food like a bread needs to be warmed up a little, but if the bread's basic core ingredients from which the wheat was made, that the wheat had been made into a bread, right? So wheat plus other ingredients gave you the bread. But now if the wheat and other ingredients had some fungus in it, that fungus, where is it going? Every time you're heating the bread, it is also going into your microwave like unit that is heating your food. Every time there is fungus in your fruits, that is getting stored in the refrigerator of the airline or the cold storage like unit. I don't know what they have, but they might have some cold storage unit, right? Because they serve you cold chilled products, so they have a cold storage unit there. So whatever is going in that cold storage unit, if not hygienically cleaned, if you do not understand that fungus has been accumulating there, those airlines food you will see will have the most amount of fungal contamination, mold contamination in their products. And the main way to solve the problem is not simply spraying fungicides or fumigating that airplane. That is one way to solve a major fungal crisis, but the real problem solution will not come from there. The real solution will be where? The real solution, like how medicine is not going to be the real solution for that baby who has maybe 5, 6 or 30 parameters that is impacting her breathing. Medicine will only be a stopgap solution. The real solution will happen when all the chemicals impacting their respiratory and other organ functions are resolved from their life. Same way for the airline industry also, or any food delivery industry, or even in our homes, when mold is growing, fungus is growing in our kitchen, the main solution is the food that we are buying and the kitchen conditions where the food is being prepared. Both have to be in a very health aligned way done. All the practices have to be health aligned, the food sourcing has to be health aligned, the food storage has to be health aligned. Then only you will have the cleanest kitchen with no mold or hardly any harmful mold or fungus in it. Otherwise, your kitchen, your refrigerator, your home, eventually the greater the degree of non-mindful practices you have practiced in your home or allowed for some toxic conditions to continue in your home, the greater is your extent of health problems that will develop in your health. And the greater the level of safety you have used in your home environment, or your home environment was in a level where good health supportive factors were present in your home environment, just because of the practices you were doing, the better is going to be your health outcome, despite having same degree of exposure to a chemical as your neighbor, as your family, as other members of your family. Does that make sense? And now coming back to the video of this baby who was crying, and the mom is saying the baby, every time the baby is changing the diapers, at the time the baby starts crying a lot and is in very much distress. And then when the baby is calmed down after having the diaper change and is breastfeeding, that is the recording of that video. But at that time, what people, again, mothers are not realizing, and I also didn't realize this when I was changing any diapers of a child, of a toddler in a preschool, or when my friends were changing the diapers of their toddlers and infants. At that time, I had observed that these babies were crying, okay, and they were resistant to changing their diapers. And at that time I also assumed, like all parents or caretakers, that this is just a norm, this is what babies do, they do not like being messed up while changing, that's why they're doing it. And which is true, but are there other conditions that can cause a baby to actually cry when the diaper is being changed? While there is a norm reason and a normal reason why the baby is crying, there is also some health harming reasons why a baby can cry. What are the health harming reasons? The health harming reasons that a baby can cry, I understood only in recent years when I was using baby care products and I was getting the health harm from those products. Now again, as I said, I haven't been taking care of any babies or in my own family life. Most of those babies who I knew as a few years back, they are all teenagers now. So at least for professionally, I have not worked for 20 years in any baby related setting. And personally, in my personal life also, for at least 15 years, I have not seen any babies in my personal life. But I was still, throughout my adult life, I have used baby care products. In fact, I'll give you this tidbit. People might have heard about the Johnson's baby lotion related issues, where they found that Johnson's baby lotion had some carcinogenicity in India, and because of which, or in Asian areas, there were some countries that fought a case against Johnson & Johnson in order to solve the problem of baby care products produced by Johnson & Johnson that were causing carcinogenicity related problems in the baby's health. But you know what, when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, at a time, because when I moved countries in US, I used to get a lot of skin irritation from US water or US soap. At that time, I didn't know what was the root cause. At that time, I was not doing all these deep diving analysis, but I knew my skin was getting very dry and very irritated and itchy when I had moved to US. So I lived in Utah, and in Utah I was getting this health problem of itchy, scaly skin, irrespective of whether it's winter time or summer time. Whereas in India, the same skin irritation used to happen during winter time in India. So I assumed, and in winter time the climate is very dry in India, in Mumbai. So because the climate is a little drier, and that's why the skin is getting dehydrated or something. So to keep the moisturization going, we had the practice of using, either while showering you use body oil to shower before showering, or after showering you apply some lotion on your skin. And this has been a practice in my family for many years. So many of my grandparents also, I have seen some of my grandparents, they apply the Pond's face cream on their faces when their face is getting dry during winter time in Kolkata. I used to use oil on my body, and I used to sometimes use lotion in my body. But because Mumbai climate is a little less intense winter in Mumbai, I didn't used to use a lot of cosmetic products in India. And as I said, I was in a lower middle class family lifestyle. So I was not very consumerist about female hygiene and women toiletry related products that were mass marketed to women. but I had some low degree usage of lotions and oils. But when I went to US, because my skin was getting so irritated, I tried a lot of US products first, for body lotion, for oil, and they were all giving me partial relief but not as good a relief. So at that time, for some reason, I decided I will try. I in India, when I was buying a lotion, because some of the lotion brands are all same, right? So like let's say some of the toiletry brands or cosmetic brands in India are same as global brands. So the same global brands that I've already used in US, would I should I buy that same brand that I've used in US? No, right? If I have already tested a brand, at that time I assumed all brands across countries are similar. So I didn't buy the same brand that I bought in US for a body lotion. And while body lotion was giving me some relief, for some reason, I don't know why, I thought that baby products will be safer because they're meant for small babies. So at that time I assumed that let's use some baby products to see whether skin is getting any better if I use a baby product. So I was using Johnson's baby lotion for my lotion activities. And it turned out that when I started using initially Johnson's baby lotion and I bought it from India, actually I found the Indian Johnson's baby lotion to be of good quality, better quality than the Johnson's baby lotion I was finding in US markets. So what was happening was, at that time I didn't realize it. But whatever was the reason, I realized for 1-2 years I continued using Johnson's baby lotion, and I bought and used more of Indian lotion than I was using the US lotion. So every time I was visiting India, I would buy one bottle and go. So like that 2-3 times I did it. But then there came a day when the Indian body lotion was also giving me some skin irritation, just like the US lotion, and I had to stop using Johnson's baby lotion. Then I switched again to some adult women products. I switched to some body oils, and I also slowly switched my body washes and face washes, all of which then ended up reducing my skin irritation, because I went into using organic based products from Trader Joe's and things like that. So I shifted my toiletry use and cosmetic use based on how my skin was reacting to some product. And this skin irritation problem that I detected with Johnson's products both in US and in India is something another 5-10 years later that came up as another 5 years later possibly, that it came up as a mass scale case against Johnson & Johnson having products with carcinogenicity. Because let's say I was mindful, I realized that this product is giving me skin irritation, I stopped using the product. But let's say I was not mindful and the skin irritation was at a level where my body was not detecting it as a skin irritation, and I had continued using that product. Is it possible that long term, and I had continued using it for 5-10 years instead of just the 2-3 years I used it, instead of that time span, if I had continued using it longer, the longer I use a product that is health harming to me, the greater will it have a greater health impact on my body. Same way, now I am using it as an adult and think about what I was experiencing. I was getting skin irritation and my skin was burning. But if that same Johnson's baby lotion now is applied to a baby, and a baby who is 1/10 my weight range, will that baby have 10 times more actually health impact of the same lotion? So if some ingredient in that lotion was leading to the health harm of a baby, that same baby, if that baby is now been using, their mother is using Johnson's baby lotion on the baby for 2-3 years, every time they are applying it for the 3 years, they are getting 10 times the impact as me. So is it now going to translate in a small baby into a sooner health incidence, into a deeper health problem leading to cancer developing in their body? So if cancer then eventually developed, and then enough data emerged, like when moms are talking to each other, maybe two moms who went to a cancer specialist were talking to each other, and they realized, yeah, I was using Johnson baby lotion, and every time I was applying the lotion my baby was crying. That's how do you think the data emerged? How did they correlate that Johnson's baby lotion is the one that is responsible for causing carcinogenicity in babies? There might have been, first there were possibly 4 or 5 women who discussed it in a doctor's office. Then first it might have been just two people discussing in their neighborhood. Then the two people discussing in their neighborhood connected with another two people who use Johnson's product but live in a very different city. They also are experiencing the same problem. Then two women, like that 10 women in India, 2 states of India discovered it. Then another 10 women in some other country of that uses Johnson's baby products also were discussing it. Like that, when enough data are pooled together, that's when they found out that there is indeed a correlation. And then some person who has now discussed it understood that it's the Johnson's product that is causing the health harm. When they went and did some clinical research on it or technical research on it, they did find carcinogenic chemicals inside their products that are being sold in India or any other country where this was a case. Then only it actually became a case that showed that this was carcinogenic to babies. And I'm crying, I don't know why, but think of the babies who are now using some product that is carcinogenic or health harming or allergy causing to a baby. But if the mom assumes that what product the baby is using is not health harming to the baby, what is going to happen? The mom will continue using all the products that are known to be good for babies, and while the initial, like Johnson's lotion, as I said, there were 2 years where no lotion was giving me any skin irritation. But why did the skin irritation start happening? I don't know. If someone does a real deep diving about all the ingredients that were used in a particular Johnson's baby lotion, you will recognize from where the carcinogenicity was stemming from. And there are multiple possible hypotheses I have as to why the lotions became carcinogenic. But whatever is my hypothesis, I will maybe present in another video. But there's a very scientific and logical reason why they became carcinogenic. There could be, but one of the reasons could be, simplest reason could be, they had a formulation change. Because which is what also happens, like even if it is a brand you have used for 10 years of your life, that brand's slight change in ingredients, slight change in formulation can have a great impact on people's health, which is what also has happened not simply with Johnson's lotion. In recent years, I used to also use Johnson's. I have used not simply Johnson's baby lotion, I have also used other baby products like baby powders for applying on my skin, as how babies use for moms use it on babies so that they don't sweat. I also sometimes, because I was getting headaches to perfumes, instead of using perfumes, first I transformed into using talcum powder that you generally get in India. But the talcum powder was also giving me some allergies, so for a while I had also switched to using baby powders. So I have used baby powders also, Johnson's brand and other brands. I have also used, because in US we used to use wipes for when you go to the toilet, you're using toilet wipes, right? So the wet wipes that you used to get in US, in India the wet wipes weren't of that good quality, or sometimes I felt there was a particular brand's wet wipes that I was using, which was a baby wipe. So I was using baby wipes in India initially when I came to India, instead of using the toilet wipes, because either you don't get those toilet wipes or people don't use wet wipes in India. That's why it's not prevalent. But both in US and in India, sometimes I used to use baby wipes. Now in baby wipes also, I have transferred when there was a particular brand, I will name, because I named Johnson, so let's name the other brand also. I was using Himalayas baby wipes. Now when I was using Himalayas baby wipes 10 years back, Himalayas baby wipes were nothing except just the product with some slight scent in them. But somehow over the years their formulation, and I was not simply using Himalaya baby wipes, I was also using Himalaya body wash for a while. But both these products, after using the baby body wash, not adult one, because of my skin sensitivity, because I was getting skin irritation, I was using baby products assuming they would be safer to use, and initial few years they were indeed safer for using, but they had a formulation change, and I could detect the formulation change that as soon as the body wash changed in formulation, they started adding more either more chemicals to make the product more scented, or they just changed the scent only that they were adding to the product. Whatever happened, that scent was too strong for me, and I started getting headaches after using those baby wipes, body wash, baby body wash. And I was not simply getting headaches, sometimes I was also getting skin irritation. So I had to stop using Himalaya brand. Then I switched to some other brand. There's Mama Earth. There are so many different brands that cater to babies. I tried so many baby wash brands in India, and I'm telling you, none of them were good. Every one of them had high degree of scent. They gave me skin irritation or headaches or both. And imagine now, to me who is a certain size adult, who is at least 5 to 10 or 20 times more in weight than a small baby or a toddler. Now if that toddler is using that after being washed with that, cleansed with those body washes, like, because cleansed with body washes or and with the baby wipes, what started happening, and I have tried multiple brands of all the brands that are possibly there in the market right now. I've tried almost at least 4-5 of those brands in the last 5-6 years, and each of them are worse than the other because of the scented chemicals in them, because of they are saying it has like this lotus extract, aloe vera extract, blah blah blah, but the lotus ingredient or the extract or the scent they are using to give an illusion of a scented product, all of them are such highly toxic chemicals that when I was wiping, and I was using them not to simply wipe my butt, I was also using them during periods when heavy period flow was happening, and for hygiene purposes I was using those wipes. So during periods, I actually, while wiping the butt, I was not realizing the problem because I have a little stronger butt than a baby's butt, right? And my butt has seen a lot of toxin exposure in the last 40 years. But when I was using those wipes for wiping my vaginal area, which is more sensitive than my butt area, and my thigh skin and my vaginal area started burning up from the use of some of these products. Sometimes the vaginal area was burning up, sometimes the scent was so strong, while it is getting absorbed from my vaginal area while I'm wiping that, like while you're wiping your body with any wipe, is it just wiping away things from your body, unclean things from your body, or is it also going to get, because of the liquid in it, it is going to be absorbed by your body also? So those products were getting absorbed by my body, the scent was getting stuck on my body, and then after absorption of that scented product, I was getting severe intense headaches from those products as well. So imagine what is happening to me, who is 10 times more in weight than a baby. What is going to happen to a baby? I'm 10 to 15 times more in weight than a baby. So the baby is also going to cry if the product is irritating to its skin, and while you are wiping the baby's bottom, while the baby has pooped, you are cleaning the diaper. But do you just clean the diaper? No, we are wiping the baby with a wet wipe, and if that wet wipe is contaminated, or if you are even using a dry wipe, but if both wet wipe and dry wipe has chemicals in it which will impact the baby's skin and baby's health, 6 months baby, 2 months baby, 1 year baby who doesn't know how to speak, what is the only mechanism for it to show it is in distress? The only mechanism is the baby will keep crying and crying. And is it just the baby wipes that are the problem? No, it's the baby wipes that can be the problem. It's the cream that you apply on the baby that could be a culprit. It could be the diaper itself that is a culprit. And with the diaper, what is happening is, why is the baby, if it's let's say only initially, like 10 years back, as I said, when I was using these baby wipes, I didn't have this skin irritation issue. So at that time baby wipes were not the problem, and I have used baby lotion 20 years back. Baby lotion was also not the problem, but 10 years back, 5 years back, diapers, women's hygiene products, they all have been marketed to have scent in them, because humans don't like the smell of poop, humans don't like the smell of a bleeding woman's menstruation cycle. So diapers usually and women's products usually have high degree of scented chemicals in them. Most diapers, there are very less unscented diapers being sold in the market. And why do you think a person gets a diaper rash? People don't realize it. Earlier, when they saw that a baby is getting a diaper rash, they just assume that the way to solve the problem of a diaper rash of a baby is, let's apply some lotions and all the prescribed medications. There are many over the counter as well as prescribed medications that are given to baby depending on how much the degree of rash they develop in their body. Right? So there is a medical thing that has been done by the medical industry and pharmaceutical industry to apply products on your skin when your skin is irritated. So that was the solution that was thought of decades back, and that has been continuing for a while as a good solution. When the level of irritation on your body or harm to a baby's health has not been severely high, at that time, if it was a surface level, very minor level rash like irritation, applying a cream or a lotion to remove the diaper rash was adequate intervention. But what baby diapers, the level of chemicals that these baby diapers or the material used to make the baby diapers, what was there in them 20 years back, 30 years back, again has undergone formulation changes. So because of which, the same, like if you were someone who was a baby 30 years back, and as a baby your parent used Johnson's products and you didn't get any health harm from Johnson's diapers, and I don't know if Johnson makes diapers, but Pampers or whatever brand makes diapers, Huggies, these are the two brands I'm remembering right now in US. But let's say Pampers and Huggies were the diapers you were using when you were younger, 30-40 years back, and your health didn't get any impact from it, or maximum impact at the time of most babies in your generation was that you got some diaper rash, a little bit of diaper rash cream was applied and you were fit and fine. So nothing major escalated from your diaper rash incidents. But that same product, that Huggies brand now is not selling you the same Huggies as it was selling you 40 years back, 30 years back. Johnson & Johnson was not selling the same lotion that it had in the market 5 years back also, which is what I experienced. Now whether other people experience the same trajectory, I don't know, but I'm just saying, realistically speaking, that is what happened with my Johnson & Johnson product use, my Mama Earth use. I'll tell you all the brands I've used Johnson & Johnson for all the baby brands, Johnson & Johnson, Mama Earth, Dove, and Himalaya, and then some other new brands that I found out online, which are all portraying that it is organic material, this and that. But no matter what it is, when I actually buy the product, even if it is saying it is organic, again there are some chemicals used in it that maybe 90% or 99% of the ingredients are organic and health safe. But if even 1%, 0.1% of ingredient used in it is not health safe, and at that time not simply, and when a baby is getting cleaned, what are the products you're using? You're using a wet wipe, you're using a dry wipe, you are putting a baby on a diaper table where you might have wiped it with some alcohol based product to clean the diaper station clean. You might have also used a butter paper like thing to sometimes lay the baby on the butter paper. If not, that butter paper like thing was a practice of our preschool, but butter paper maybe families will not use it, but families still use if you are doing it on a diaper changing table, you are using a alcohol wipe to wipe the table also and keep the table clean also. And you are also, if the baby comes in contact with the alcohol, and the alcohol has alcohol plus other ingredients that is health harming, it can give skin irritation. If the wet wipe has some ingredients that is health harming, that will add to skin irritation. If the diaper itself has material or chemicals that is health harming for it, that will add to its skin irritation. If the pant, like after wearing a diaper, sometimes parents also put pants on the babies, right? So if the pants you are wearing, if it is a full length pant or half length pant or a skirt, whatever you are giving to the baby, if the clothing material has some clothing material dyes, that will also, because sometimes when you're diaper changing, you might have given the baby a bath, then like change the diaper, given them a bath, and then after giving them the bath you are doing the feeding. So if you have given them the bath, at that time, if during the bath time the chemicals you're using, the body washes and shampoos and body oil and lotion that you're using, any of these, all of these 10 products, 5 products, 2 products, whatever products you're using on your baby, if they have anything that is health harming to your individual specific baby, it doesn't matter if 10 other babies do not cry when they apply these products on their skin, but on your baby, if these 10 products, one product, even 0.1 millimeter and nanoparticle amount of something in your product impacts the baby's health, the baby has no other option but to cry. But is the baby also showing some skin irritation symptoms here? Yes, if you look at the video of this small tiny baby who's breastfeeding, if you only observe the eye, you will see it's sad. Its cheeks are also very red because it has cried, but there is also blotches on its skin, and these blotches, red blotches on the baby's skin, is a indicator of a rash that the baby is experiencing. So if the baby had a bath before breastfeeding, that bath used some soap or lotion or body oil or shampoo, whatever was used that was irritating, or all ingredients, like there are 5 ingredients in these 4 products that were used on it, those 5 ingredients might be giving the rash response. And the baby is crying not because it doesn't want to take a bath or it doesn't want to be clean or it doesn't want to be disturbed, which is what most parents assume, that the baby is, that's why the baby is crying. It doesn't want to be disturbed, or it is hungry, it only wants to eat food, that's why the baby is crying. One parent will assume that, another will assume that, all these things. So every parent will assume something about a baby, knowing that, and not just parent, a grandparent will also assume this, that 10 years back, 20 years back, 30 years back, 40 years back, that is the reason why a baby was crying, that it needs to be fed, it needs to be soothed, it resists cleaning, it doesn't like to be disturbed, or maybe it's a fussy baby. Some parents assume that their baby is super fussy compared to other babies. All these things happen. But when the actual reality is, if you do observe your baby, apart from the crying, if there is high degree of skin irritation going on, it's not simply a simple diaper rash. You will also see, if it was just a diaper rash from friction from the diaper, I have experienced all kinds of rashes in my body, okay? So I understand different types of rashes. I understand the rash that will be created when my skin is minorly irritated with a little bit of friction, and those rashes I have also experienced while I don't wear diapers. I have actually used some diapers also in recent years just for testing purposes, adult diapers, but not for period purposes. There was like a period pants which looked like adult diapers. So the material that is used for period pant is also again the same kind of material that is used to create an adult diaper. So technically I didn't use adult diaper, but I was using a period pad, period panty, which looks like a diaper, but that period pad panty like thing that it was, period panty I think. So anyway, it was also causing skin irritation. Period pads were also causing skin irritation. But again, different time points of my life, the irritation was different level. Meaning, when it was only like the material that was irritating the skin, or just, sometimes, if your period pad is twisted in a wrong way, or your diaper is twisted in a wrong way, the diaper has these crinkly surfaces, right? So if the paper material that the diaper is coming from, the plastic paper like material that the diaper is made of, if it is twisting and hitting your skin surface again and again in a particularly uncomfortable way, or you were using a wrong size diaper, all of these things will give you a kind of diaper rash, which is easily fixable by either adjusting the size or changing the brand, or just giving a little bit of lotion to smoothen the surface so that the rough scaliness of the paper material of the diaper doesn't irritate your skin. That is how diaper rashes were causing a barrier protection on your skin. So like if the diaper rash had certain chemicals or certain constituency that is being applied on your skin, is preventing the material of the diaper hitting on your skin and irritating your skin. That's how it works. It's the same principle as, have you ever got a shoe bite? When you get a shoe bite after you bought a new shoe, do you get a shoe bite from every shoe? No, we don't get shoe bite from every shoe, but there are certain shoes that will give you shoe bite, and sometimes you will get extreme shoe bite. Sometimes you will hardly have like a very scratchy experience. Like if you have a very minor shoe bite like experience, you apply a little bit of Vaseline or you apply a band-aid on your area where you are getting that irritation, and the shoe bite will be of no problem. But when there is like a major level shoe bite, what will you do? If applying Vaseline, if applying band-aid doesn't take the shoe bite away, and other interventions are also not causing that shoe bite to go away, will you stop wearing that shoe? Isn't that the best protocol, not to wear a shoe that is causing you a extreme distress and extreme health harm? Same thing is the same principle of diaper rashes related issues, and also cleaning related issues, and also baby care taking related issues. If it is a minor level irritation and if it is only occurring from one thing, then if you remove that thing, that is all you have to do. And if you have an alternative that is a safer alternative, that's all you have to do to ensure that the baby will not cry. So initially when the irritation was at a minor level, little bit of applying of a lotion or a ointment or a cream was enough to prevent the diaper rash from becoming a severe health issue, because it was a minor level, surface level scratch like problem on the baby. But in our modern world, in the 40 years, 50 years since diaper rash has been, I don't even know how many years diaper rashes have been used on babies, but in the decades of life that they have been used on babies, issue is they are not enough of a solution anymore in the current baby's life. In the current baby's life, the current baby needs a scent-free cleansing agent. Also, when you're taking a bath, if your home water supply also has some chemicals in it which is irritating to the baby, all of them combined, also there could be a chemical interaction happening, where if you only wash the baby in the water, it may not cry because the level of pollution in your water might be mild. But if you wash the baby in the water that is polluted, plus using a chemically infused shampoo or body wash that is harmful for that baby, plus applying cream and lotion that is also harmful for that baby, all of them combined together, when there are 5-10 chemicals inside the baby's body, and whenever you're washing a baby, applying something on the baby, realize this, that thing is not simply disappearing from their skin or from their health. While water, indeed, when you're washing a baby, water is washing away majority. Like if you took a tub of water and you are pouring 10 mugs or 10 cups of water on the baby, at a time, the 10 mugs of water you're pouring on a baby, while 9 mugs are indeed flowing out because it's only a skin washing you're doing, at least 1 mug or at least 30-40 ml of that liquid that you're pouring on that baby will get absorbed by the baby. A little bit of it is invariably going to get absorbed. Secondly, so if water pollution is there, just because you're washing the baby doesn't mean that any of it is not getting absorbed on its skin, right? We can't see it, but it is getting absorbed. Secondly, we can observe it. If you observe it, like if you even drop one droplet of water on a baby's skin or on your own skin, will it not eventually get absorbed on your skin after a few minutes or few seconds, depending on how much water you dropped on your skin, right? Some of it is drying away in the air, but some of it is also getting absorbed by your skin. Similarly, any lotion you're applying, any cream you're applying, any ingredient that you're applying on a baby, again, depending on the amount of chemicals, it is invariably getting absorbed on the inside their body. So it doesn't stay simply on their skin. So when something is harmful to a baby, the initial symptom will show up as a rash. if it is and if the rash is not simply of a physical kind, that was just a like a shoe bite irritating your skin and a diaper irritating your skin just because of the material of the diaper, if that was not the root problem, the root problem was the scent of the diaper, scent of the lotion, scent of other things in the baby is using, if that is a root problem, anything that was applied on the baby or came in contact with the baby's skin, they all have got absorbed. And after getting absorbed, initially on the surface you will see red rashes, wheals and other problems on their skin, but internally also damage is going on with them. And this is where in one previous video I have made, I believe I've made it in English, and that was a lady whose child died. According to the diagnosed condition, it died of a viral infection, but the baby was also showing signs of organ damage, like skin irritation can also transport into organ damage or be an indicator of organ damage in certain kids, because anything that you have absorbed via skin on the surface will show up as a skin irritation response, but internally if enough chemicals and enough toxins have been absorbed by my body, like in the previous video how I said anything inhaled can go via the circulatory system to different organs of the body, anything absorbed also can go to different organs of my body, accumulate in different organs, and be, while I am not visibly seeing the effect of what is happening to a baby, if you are not also a doctor or if you're not also a mindful person, you will not observe these things. But slowly initially one organ, two organ, three organ, four organs could be getting damaged by of the babies. We just don't know how many organs are getting damaged, but if inner organs are getting damaged, that baby whose cause of death they said was viral infection but also had multiple organ failure, and they assumed that the virus was responsible for the baby's multiple organ failure, when it could very well be possible that the virus plus other conditions in their baby's life that were toxic to the baby that had been absorbed by the baby's skin, because is the baby only, and that was a newborn baby or a fairly newborn baby. So with a newborn baby also, what you absorb is not simply what you absorb when you apply things to the baby or when you put a cloth or when you put a diaper on a baby. That is one element. But a baby that is newborn, when it was staying inside the mother's womb also, at a time also, whatever conditions were prevalent in the mother's life, whatever things she absorbed, whatever lotion she is using, makeup she is using, chemicals she is using in her on her body, some of them, if they cross the blood-brain barrier, if they have crossed inside into the baby's bloodstream, all those chemicals that the mother has used, and it could not simply be application chemicals, it could be chemicals in her food, chemicals in the things she has inhaled, chemicals in the things she applies on her skin, chemicals she used for her back pain during pregnancy, chemicals she took as medicine also during pregnancy, all of them combined. Now some chemicals that she's not even aware is going inside her body from environmental conditions, whatever was her environmental exposure, daily lifestyle choice based exposure, daily food consumption based exposure, if any of those harmful things did indeed cross inside and go inside the baby while it was a fetus inside a woman, at a time while being inside the body, people don't know now what is happening to a baby when it is inside the body. Some parameters you can check, like how when I was sick, they're checking via blood pressure, via body temperature, via heart rate, monitoring whether I'm okay in health. But my damage is much more severe than just simply a blood pressure problem, simply a temperature problem, simply a problem related to breathing. I have much deeper problems going on. And similarly, a baby also has much deeper problems going on, which may not be detectable immediately by just doing the blood pressure checkup, temperature checkup, which needs actually more internal analysis of what is going on. And in that baby's case also, the one who died, the Walmart baby who died, I'm saying Walmart baby because the mother had gone to Walmart. It doesn't mean it is a baby born in Walmart, but a baby who the mother went to buy a different diaper for the baby, seeing that the baby has a diaper rash. So the mother was mindful. She observed that the baby is getting rash from the diaper, so she thought, I will try a different product. But in the meantime, while she was going shopping to get a different product, and I don't know which video it was, but if I find which of my past video links her incidents, I will add to this video, reference video. But while she was gone, the baby was in the caretaking of grandmother and grandmother's boyfriend, and they assumed that the boyfriend's viral infection might have got transported to the baby, and that's why the baby died. But they had also, the baby was there in the hospital for 1-2 hours, or couple of hours, whatever hours the baby was in the hospital. When the baby was hospitalized, and because likely it showed some severe health symptom, so when it got hospitalized, at that time they did some tests, which deeper tests, right, because it was hospitalized. And during the deeper test, if you do the blood work is very easily able to detect some blood work, some heart rate monitoring, lung monitoring, or function monitoring. All of these will easily show if 2-3 organs are failing. So if lung function was failing, it will show some lung function failure. If cardiovascular system was failing, it will show some cardiovascular distress. If kidneys and liver was failing, that will also show up. If cerebral functions, motor neuron functions were failing, that will also show up. So like that, when they say someone has multiple organ failure, it means 2-3 organ systems are not functioning at the right level they are meant to function. But while you can assume that the virus was the reason why the baby died, the real deeper analysis is it is not simply the virus might be the last drop. Like how in the previous video I said, there is a last drop that can happen on your body, that a last bit of microbe will impact your health in such a way that you die. Even if that last bit of viral infection hadn't impacted, let's say the mother had a father in home life, or she had decided that her grandmother of the child will babysit in her home only, and she had not taken the child to the grandmother's home. But if the multiple organ failure related other issues were already there in the baby while it was a fetus, then what would have happened is, maybe it would not have died of a viral infection, then instead it would have got a allergic response to because the diaper rash was already showing the baby is in a sensitized state. So organ failure was likely developing in its body when the diaper rash is showing up. At that time only organ failure has likely developed in its body by then, from the chemicals in the mother's home environment, or food she's eating, plus home environment, plus all the things that I have mentioned here. So if the grandmother had stayed in the baby's home and taken care of the baby at a time, maybe that day the baby might not have died. But what might have happened instead was, and because the baby's home environment was also changed, right? So from one home it went to the other home. So while it was traveling in the city, some other toxins got breathed by the baby. While it was traveling in a car going from mother's home to grandmother's home, some other toxins got inhaled. In the grandmother's home, like let's say the baby was getting bottle fed something, or the mother had, whatever it is, we don't know how many things the baby inhaled or consumed. And even in the hospital, when let's say the baby went to the hospital with respiratory distress, and they tried to inject something for the respiratory distress. But what if, as I'm saying, like every in that glass experiments that you see, where 500 ml has already reached the top level that the glass can fill. But after that also 501 ml drop by drop can be filled on top of the glass without the drop spilling. So our health is like that. It is showing some respiratory distress. So the respiratory function is like the little bit overfilled glass. But after the respiratory distress now, and before the respiratory distress, when the diaper rash was happening, it was possibly at a baby's health status was at a level where it is already overfilled with fighting organ damage related problems in its body. So it was already at the 500 ml limit of the glass of the baby's good health. So initially, because it was at the good health limit has been crossed, rash is showing up suddenly. But after the rash, respiratory distress happened. That's why grandma took it to the hospital. But while during the respiratory distress also, you gave an injection. If the material of the injection had some contamination, even nano level contamination, or if the hospital bedding and linen had some contamination, that will also add. If in the hospital they decided to change the diaper of the baby because the diaper was full, again that changed diaper, if that extra diaper they changed it to had some chemicals that was harmful to the baby, or while changing the diaper, the same range of things that the mother is doing at home, grandmother is doing at home, same range of things could have added to the babies that extra level, extra drop of health harm, and that one small drops of health harm then piled up together to eventually lead to its organ damage related death. Does that make sense? So that's why you can't just conclusively conclude that it's only the virus that led to its death, because usually organ damage doesn't develop in a few hours. Organ damage is a condition that has to take at least few months or weeks to develop in anyone's body, be it a tall adult like me or a small baby. So my organ damage also didn't start, my organ damage journey didn't start actually when I came back to India in 2015 or 14. I'm now confusing which year I came back to India. Sorry about that. But whichever, 15. In 2015 I came back to India. My organ damage journey didn't start in India. My organ damage journey didn't start when I came back to India. It had actually started when I was a child in India. It had continued slowly. Different kinds of organ damaging chemicals were being exposed into my body over the years of my existence, decades of my existence in India, then over a decade of existence in US, then again nearly a decade of existence in India. So all of them combined are jointly responsible for any organ damage, any circulatory system failure, any cardiovascular system problem, any cancer developing in the body, any other health conditions developing in my body. So it's a long journey. For me also, it might have taken at least 30 years, 20 years, 40 years, different things developing in my body over the time of my existence and exposure to different things that are health harming. And similarly, for me, it has taken maybe 30 years, 10 years, 5 years. But a baby who's a newborn baby, being much smaller in size, a very severe health harm can develop in a baby's body immediately. It doesn't need 10 years for a baby to suddenly die or suddenly have a health incidence that will take it towards death, because baby is much more sensitive, its system is much more sensitive, and if our ignorance related to the number of things or denial related to the number of things that could be harming it is present in our daily life, or if our understanding, despite all this dispensing of information, if people don't understand the grievous level of and the number of changes we have to execute in our daily life to take us towards a healthy existence on earth, then our denial is not going to improve a baby's condition. Our continuing of old health harming practices that weren't health harming 10 years back, but for the current conditions on earth it is now health harming, then our denial or ignorance or not understanding the depth of the issue will not prevent someone from dying, will not prevent someone from being severely hospitalized, will not prevent our grief from occurring. The only way our grief can be prevented, health harm can be prevented, or health benefit can be executed if we actually take the right steps. So if those Johnson & Johnson mothers who filed the case against Johnson & Johnson for carcinogenicity in their products, if those mothers had continued thinking like 40 years back, 30 years back, when I was a child, my mother gave me this product, nothing happened to me, if they had assumed that just because 20 years, 30 years, 40 years back that product didn't cause any health harm, would you have ever discovered that indeed this product was causing health harm? So if they had stayed, and is there going to be a segment of population who would live in denial? Inside the officials of the company also, there were people who were living in denial. They couldn't understand what the data was showing. They couldn't interpret the data in the right way. They couldn't understand what is the root cause of all this carcinogenicity showing up in their product. They could have assumed that everything in our product is the same. Yes, maybe if 10 product, and because I am a pharmacist, and also in our pharmacy school in India, we learn how to make cosmetic products. So while I have never developed any cosmetic based products in a lab except for my school pharmacy school labs, I do know some of the mechanics in which manufacturing is done for pharmaceutical products, for food products, for medicine, and for cosmetic products. So I do know that cosmetic products, sometimes if you make even a simplest lotion, can end up having 5 to 10 ingredients in them. So if they assume that they kept 90% of the formula the same, 99% of the formula the same, but even that 0.1% change they introduced, and maybe sometimes it's a formula change, and sometimes it can be the bottle manufacturing change, sometimes it can be the licensing change. There are so many elements where whatever changes they introduce, it was like the every one drop of change they introduced over maybe 10 years time period, and each drop of change that they introduced was the next drop that was adding harm, next drop that was adding harm, next drop that was adding harm, and eventually creating a product which was very blatantly harmful for a population that was using that product, which is the same problem with all the products I have mentioned in many of my videos that are leading to health harm in our modern life. Everything, it could be the formulation specific change, it could be a multiple ingredient specific health harm, it could be many things which are adding to our modern life's health harm, which can only be stopped when we acknowledge where the health harm is happening, when we create policies to stop that health harm from escalating, when we take individual specific, community specific, society specific, company specific, every degree of influence we have on earth, that level of influence specific steps to resolve the problem. Because if you are a person who works in the government and has observed that Johnson & Johnson was causing you a health harm, do you need to work at the governmental level to ensure right regulations happen, not just simply from Johnson & Johnson products? Now Johnson & Johnson's data has emerged first. Why? Because that was the top ranking company. So obviously, being the top ranking company, your company will show the first degree problems related to your product, because mass scale people are using that product. Now let's say apart from Johnson & Johnson, there is a competitor of Johnson & Johnson which is not the top ranking company globally, and they have, if Johnson & Johnson had at that time 90% market share of lotions, at that time let's say there was a company which had only 1% market share of lotions. Now if they don't understand from their competitor that why Johnson & Johnson's product was carcinogenic, if Johnson & Johnson's doesn't do that review, if other competitors of Johnson & Johnson don't do this review as to why this product became carcinogenic, they also might be the same, because I have found similar scents only used in different baby products. So similar scent, except that one company might be using 2 ingredients to produce that scent, another company might be using 1 ingredient, one company might be using 1 ml of that ingredient to create a product differentiation, another company might be using 1.5 ml of that same ingredient. But is there a problem with 1 ml, 1.5 ml, 2 ingredients, 1 ml, 2 ingredients combined together that are more health harming? Everything matters. Every single specific detail of a product manufacturing process and product formulation steps and a facility specific process and the supply chain process and the application of the product on a baby's steps and processes, all of which are responsible for a baby's health to get better or worse. Like if those which babies would have shown the most Johnson & Johnson product related issues? The babies whose families use Johnson & Johnson and have been using Johnson & Johnson for decades and centuries. Those babies whose mothers don't apply Johnson and Johnson products might not have observed. Those mothers who don't apply these products at a large scale might not have observed. Those mothers who do also use it in a large scale but don't observe why their baby is crying, don't understand why their baby is crying, and simply assume that the baby doesn't like to be to take a bath, or simply assume that the baby doesn't like to change a diaper, also are existing in the world, right? So there were, while there is a percentage of women who realized that Johnson and Johnson product was causing carcinogenicity, there's also a percentage of women who never even realized that this product is causing a health harm. And if they also don't have this information about Johnson and Johnson products, they also continued using a product which led to possibly some cancer or organ damage in their babies, but undetected and undiagnosed cancer and organ damage. Why? Because they never observed that their baby is getting ill, they never took the baby to the doctor, they never ensured that if some organ damage was developing in the baby, they ignored the complete symptoms of what was going on with that baby. So while they used, while there are, like, let's say, I don't know, I don't want to go into the details and continue giving random examples, but whatever number of people who actually filed a case and won the case are not the number of people who actually had the damage from that product. And there are also other companies' products which use same ingredients, similar ingredient as Johnson and Johnson ingredients, did the same kind of mistakes, were manufacturing in the same area also where Johnson and Johnson product was manufacturing, was selling also in the same area where these products were being sold. And there are multiple other companies whose products are equally harmful as Johnson and Johnson products, just that the data hasn't emerged in a grand scale because they are not that global level company. So does that make sense? So even if you don't use Johnson & Johnson right now and your baby is still crying, is it a competitor of Johnson & Johnson that you are using that is causing the baby to cry? Same way, if another data emerges one fine day that some other baby product is highly carcinogenic and toxic, does it mean that only that brand product is carcinogenic and toxic, or are there other products that also use these similar chemicals, also use the similar manufacturing processes, which are also toxic and harmful to a baby? But the data hasn't emerged, and until the data for anything being harmful emerges, the only way to ensure safer health for anyone is by observation. I can't wait. Like, if I know I'm getting sick by using a product that is giving me skin irritation, headaches, or other health issues when I'm using the product, be it a baby product, be it an adult product, whatever product I was using, whenever I was getting these health issues, if I wait for I could have waited, I could have been in denial that, oh, my skin is irritated, and I was in denial. Like, the first month I had skin irritation issues, I couldn't believe it, because I was like, I've used this same product 2-3 times before, I never had this skin irritation, why am I getting it? But how much ever I live in denial, if it was indeed harmful to my health, the health harm continued. So the only way the health harm stopped was when I stopped using that product and switched to a different product that was not causing me health harm, right? So same way, if I live in, and the data that it was carcinogenic didn't emerge on the year I stopped using the product, the carcinogenicity data came much later. So until the time the carcinogenicity data is coming, if my body is giving me a reaction that this is harmful for me and I need to stop using it, should I stop using it, or do I need to wait for the data to emerge? Same way with a parent who is giving something to a child that is health harming. If you observe it is health harming, do you need a doctor's confirmation or a company's recall confirmation to tell you that this product is harmful? Or is that going to save your baby hospitalization costs or death? Or what is going to save your baby hospitalization cost or death? Whichever mother, who, there were also possibly many mothers who observed that the product was causing health harm, stopped using the product on the baby. So while some organ damage might have developed, let's say there are whatever patients got cancer, those mothers and their nannies and caretakers were using a lot of Johnson baby lotion on the baby, right? So, and they were not observing that it was causing health harm, so they continued using, and then the cancer got developed. But on the opposite spectrum, there could have been those mothers who observed that Johnson's product, like me, how I'm observing it's giving me skin irritation. They observe that using the product is giving skin irritation to my baby, so they stopped using that product completely. So because by doing that, not only did they not have the pain of cancer now emerging in that baby, the baby also didn't cry, and now the mother also found some alternative solution to Johnson's long before the data related to Johnson's was showing up in your local knowledge, or in your social knowledge, or in global knowledge. Does that make sense? So this is how you actually practice safer healthcare, better healthcare. At a global scale, certain changes will have to happen later on. But if at an individual scale you prevent something from causing a health harm, that is always a better, that is the better solution than waiting for data to emerge, waiting for something to be proven right. Because time will always prove what was harmful, what was not harmful. But until the time can prove what is harmful, not harmful, you can't wait for that time to if you wait, you will end up with a severe disease. If you don't wait, you will not end up with as severe a disease, or much milder version of a disease. Or even if you were developing cancer, by stopping that carcinogenic use, that cancer now won't escalate. It may also take, after a few years, you will also heal from it and not get cancer at all. Does that make sense? I hope it made sense, and I want all mothers or people who use multiple products in their daily life to start waking up how they can stop their health harm. And yes, we have to also, at a global scale, just suing a company is not enough for right now to fix the problems on earth. What actually will fix the problems is us realizing what products, if we stop using, can we live without, what things, if we also want to continue using, can we create better alternatives of those products, and can we also realize what is actually truly health harming, health safe without some external source telling us. Your baby is already telling you it is in a great health distress. If the baby is crying continuously every time its diaper is changed, every time it's taking a bath, every time something, it is protesting by crying. And when I said in my previous video that this is the reason why sudden infant death syndrome can also arise in a baby, because let's say the parents who are commenting in this video of this baby who's crying while getting changed for its diaper, those parents are the joking kind of parents, like this is a normal thing, so they are okay with it. But there will be other parents who are very possibly autism spectrum parents, or have Asperger's syndrome, or have antisocial personality, all have some other undiagnosed, and all of these might be undiagnosed or undetected in them. So they may not know, they may be very emotionally reactive to constant crying, constant noise. And let's see, the parent also is getting like when you are holding a baby and soothing a baby, if the baby is applied 10 chemicals on its body for lotion, body wash, sprays, whatever the baby has applied on its skin, while you are also holding it, that same thing, like I said that these products give me headaches. Now if you're inhaling it from while holding a baby, you are also possibly going to get a headache from those products. So that also adds to your physical distress. So a baby is crying, you are getting a headache from these chemicals that you're inhaling from the baby. Plus you're not able to understand what have you done wrong that the baby is crying, because you bathed it, soothed it, changed its diapers, given it food, you still don't know why the baby is crying. At a time, out of frustration, out of lack of knowledge, out of you yourself feeling really in great emotional or health distress, or mentally, because you have these emotional health issues where you can't handle a lot of noise, all of these reasons will cause you to now end up causing the shaken baby syndrome, especially if you were not mindful only to understand what you are doing wrong. And which is what many people in frustration when they do the shaken baby syndrome is because they're frustrated. They don't know, I've done, if my wife has told me to feed the baby, wash the baby, change the baby, keep the baby clean, hold the baby, I'm doing all of them, then why is the baby not stopping crying? Because these were all protocols, when these are all applicable protocols when the baby was on a cleaner earth, was using products that were cleaner, was using products that were health safe. But these 5 protocols will also fail the moment when more interventions are needed than just these 5 protocols that you are normally used to doing to a baby. So same way with the health care related thing, like let's say the baby was crying, the doctor said give it this, he gave whatever the doctor was saying to give to the child, still the child is crying. So he's in denial that I've given them the medicine, still my child is crying. Why is it crying? So why are you crying? In frustration that person might have done. But let's say there was internal organ damage going on with the baby, a little bit of shaking was enough to cause that internal organ damage to escalate further into something else. Or there was something in the food of the baby, water of the baby that you fed along with the medicine, along with its normal food that you're meant to feed it. But again, those chemicals in the food, chemicals in the water, combined with your frustration, combined with your shaking, all of them combined can also give someone mimicking symptoms of shaken baby syndrome, when maybe it was not even someone who shook their baby, but maybe the baby had an epileptic attack as a result of something it was given that was epilepsy causing. Please look at my video about epilepsy causing chemicals, because there are certain chemicals in our daily use that can lead to epilepsy, and when you have a high degree epileptic attack, your body will writhe and move in a way which can possibly mimic a shaken baby syndrome as well, in some ways. So and if a person doesn't know deeply what is the deeper symptoms of a shaken baby syndrome, or can misinterpret the data, and a lot of misinterpretation of data is going on currently on earth about many things, not simply related to healthcare, but because I understand healthcare, I talk more about healthcare. So these are all important reasons why people have to interpret the data in the right way. And not only if we want a better earth, we have to interpret the data in the right way, acknowledge the true culprit in the right way, then take the changes necessary, make the changes, all the steps necessary to ensure one by one, step by step, that whatever was harmful for a baby, harmful for a human, slowly can become less harmful for them. And if anyone has any questions about this video, please drop a question or comment. I know it's a heavy topic and a complex topic and might be possibly confusing for some. I'll be happy to answer the questions that arise in your mind after listening to such a video. Thank you very much and have a good day.